episode from the Hanferd files is entitled The Man Next Door. Now, this is my first posting, and much of the details of stuff that happened have been jogged by the article that I've linked at the bottom. As such, this won't be super long, but I'll try to string it into a coherent post. I also apologize if this doesn't fully adhere with the guidelines of this subreddit. To set the scene, I feel the need to clarify a few things. Firstly, this happened in about 2010. Secondly, myself, my older brother, and me mum had just moved up north from London after a divorce, due to most of my mom's family living in the general area. Unfortunately, we didn't have the money to buy a house, so we ended up in council accommodation. As soon as we saw the street alarm bells start ringing, it was the sort of street the drug dealers live on, and as myself and my brother would soon find out, all the local school bullies lived on. Almost every house had garden walls that were either broken or non-existent, and the houses themselves were generally unkempt. And we can't simply up and leave, as we were placed there by the local council. According to them, it was totally safe. So time passed, and we settled down into somewhat of a routine, if you can call having all sorts getting dumped on your doorsteps as a prank, including tar and weed, normal. This was made worse by the fact that I was often the target for all the school bullies, seeing as I was a shy city kid who preferred to stay out of everyone's way and avoid conflict where possible. Not that that helped, as here in the Northeast, people from down south are regarded as soft. All of this meant that I've blocked most of what happened out, but there's one event in particular that still sticks in my mind. So one day I was in school when I was told I would be heading home early. I find my mom in tears, and during the car ride home, she explained that the man next door had killed our pet cat. The sick bastard had trapped the cat in a set his dog on it, and then praised the dog. He even showed his kids what he'd done. What the fuck? And then he had the gall to blame us for it, saying we shouldn't have let it roam free. Eventually the man was convicted for his crimes, though he should have gotten longer. And I've moved on since then. Moved to a better part of town and have even made some friends. And no, I don't blame the dog. So to the sick fuck who killed my cat and then showed his kids what he did, let's never meet. You'll be in with an arse kicking if we do. Well, the guy sounds like he's kind of like Hanferd, so I'll just avoid him at all costs. This next story is entitled Creep from the Pool. Okay, so this is my first time posting anything on Reddit. English is not my first language, so this will be full of typos. When this happened, I was 8 years old. I was a hot summer day, so my dad asked me if I wanted to go to the pool. I, of course, said yes, so we took a couple of towels and went to the pool. We left our stuff under one tree and went into the water. This is a really big pool. It's almost 40 meters long. I'm not sure how to explain this, but one side there is a pool and the other side a river. My dad loves fishing, so he went to the other side. See someone is fishing. He ran into his old buddy and they started talking. I was really bored, so I asked my dad if I could walk a little bit. He said yes. This is a pretty safe little town where nothing ever happened, so kids were free to do anything they wanted to. Fucking idiot. So I went into the other side of the pool, and my dad was still talking to his friend. And after a while, I couldn't see them anymore. I thought I could try to swim over entire pool. So I was in the water when I noticed this old creep staring at me. Sounds like a Hanford situation. I just looked at him and started swimming. He asked me if I wanted him to help me swim. I said, no, Hanford. Then he asked me how old I am. I was pretty confused, so I told him my real age. Then he started hugging me. I told him to leave me alone, but then he started kissing me and touching my lady parts. Nobody seemed to notice. I was trying to scream, but his hand was on my mouth. When he took me out of the water, I bit his finger and kicked him in the balls. I started running as fast as I could. He started chasing me. Luckily, I was faster than him. He stopped at the middle of the pool and went back. I ran to my dad and asked him, "Can we go home?" He asked me why, but I just started to scream that I wanted to go home. So he took out stuff and went home. I never told him. I never told anybody. So creep from the pool, let's not meet. She sounds like a total fucking idiot if you ask me. Alright, this one's a long one. But it I think it's a good one, so my New Year resolution 2012 was to get in shape again. After my first kid was born, I had lost my athletic interest, but I had every intention of getting it back. So I started running 4 days a week with my friend Hannah, who is a great runner and motivator. We would run after work 5 to 10 kilometers, usually favoring the forest trail. It's the kind of trail that got lightning? Yeah. Oh, she spelled it wrong. It's lighting in the darker months of the year, so you could run there anytime, really. Once you turn on the lights, you got 45 minutes to run the shorter trails and longer to run the longer ones. Then the lights shut off automatically. We had been running for about 2 months when we started seeing the same man hanging around the parking lot every time we got there. This thin man, aged 25 to 30 years of age, always dressed in sports clothes but never actually running. He never looked you in the eye either. We speculated that he could be homeless camping nearby because he was constantly there. We got used to seeing him, sitting somewhere close by, silently and always on his own. We felt sorry for him. He never seemed to talk to anyone or interact at all, but there was something about him that made us hesitate to talk to him or ask if he was okay. Can't pinpoint what it was, but something wasn't completely right with him. One evening, Hannah didn't make it to our run, and I decided to go on my own. I arrived at the parking lot, my car being the only car there. I did some stretching, turned on the lights, and set off on the 5K trail. I hadn't seen the thin, silent man when I started my run. Perhaps it was getting too cold to sit there now, that it was autumn, dark, and getting closer to the freezing point. He must have been there, though, somewhere in the shadows, because when I got to the top of the first hill, I could hear heavy breathing somewhere behind me. I looked over my shoulder and I see him. He is running like a man obsessed in regular shoes, not running shoes, though, with his arms moving in a very strange, stiff manner, as if he was made of metal. His hands like arrows, straight and in an upward-inward angle, sort of like a sprinter, but more extreme, moving like a robot. For the first time he looked me straight in the eyes, and it was the eyes of a predatory animal, and it made my heart freeze. He had never done anything to harm me, or anyone else as far as I know, but the look in his eyes alone was enough to let me know that I was facing a serious threat. I started running faster, trying to create distance between us, and I could hear his heavy breathing, getting even more off my necklace. Oh, get even more strained. I ran like my life depended on it, adrenaline pumping through my body, it giving me new strength. I tore off my necklace and threw it on the ground, thinking, I must leave a trace if he takes me. Something must be left behind. I tried screaming, hoping someone would be close enough to hear me, but I couldn't scream my lungs out and keep up the phase at the same time. Why is he doing this? What does he want? Who is he? I thought, as I started to feel my lungs burn. Then I thought of my 15-month-old daughter, and ran until I could taste blood in my mouth. He was still behind me, maybe 100 meters behind. Now, but I figured that if I trip and fall, or run out of energy, or fumble with my car keys once I reach the parking lot, then I'm screwed. So once I reached the sharp turn on the trail, I went off the trail and ran straight into the dark woods. I ran only a short distance, and then I lay down flat on my stomach, my hands searching for a rock to defend myself with if he found me. I realized I was wearing bright running clothes and reflexes in neon coloring. I had ever felt so visible in the dark before. I could hear him reach the turn and thank God, keep on running. I started so slowly and as silently as possible, moved further into the darkness. My heart sank again as soon as I heard rapid footsteps closing into my trail. He had realized that I must have gone off the trail. Once he saw that, there was no sign of me ahead. He stopped, and I stopped. I could imagine him listening for any sound, and I held my breath and begged God I don't believe in to make him go away. After a while, I heard him again say something in a language I didn't recognize and walk off. I didn't move. I feared that he would wait for me by the car. I realized that I had to get off the trail and onto the main road and stop someone. I couldn't go back to the parking lot. I started to make my way further into the woods, knowing that I would eventually end up on the last part of the long tail and close to the main road. The lights on the trail suddenly shut off. That made me calmer at first. The dark was a comfort and protection, but then, after only a few moments, it switched on again. This could mean that another person had just started their run, and soon I would have someone there to help me, or that he was out looking for me, or getting ready to prey on another lonely runner. I decided against my waiting to find out and continued my way towards the main road. It was dark, and I fell multiple times, my clothes getting wet from the damp vegetation, and I started to get cold. After what felt like a lifetime, I could see the 10K trail ahead, and I knew I was close to the main road. Soon, I could hear the traffic. Once I made it to the road, I must have looked like I had been in a terrible accident. Blood from several small cuts from the falling. My clothes dirty, and my face, I assume, petrified. My bright runner shirts soon attracted the attention of a passing car. My waving and desperate shouting made it stop. The driver, a 40-ish man, with his 2 kids in the back seat, spent the next 10 minutes or so trying to make sense of what I tried to say between the sobbing and crying. He asked if I wanted to lift back to the parking lot, and I told him no. Please, take me home instead. At home, my husband insisted on going to the parking lot to retrieve the car and calling the police. And report what? I asked. No crime had been committed. I just knew that he was out to get me. My husband went back for the car. The driver's seat window was smashed and my phone was gone. So was the photo of my daughter that I had hanging from the mirror. I don't know what he was trying to do or why he chased me the way he did, but the look in his eyes, there was no doubt he had bad intentions. Creepy forest trail man. Let's never meet again. Oh wow, that was a creepy story, I tell you. That was a very creepy story. And I hope you enjoyed these 3 chilling, shit pants filling Hanferd File tales. If you have any tales you'd like to share with the Hanferd Files, please drop me a line at Moldy Bread on YouTube. And don't forget, no matter where you are, no matter how old you are or what part of the world you're in, there's always a creepy Hanford tale just lurking around the corner. Have a safe night, and God bless you all.